How you doing? My name is Coach Red. This is the first episode of Bigger Than Basketball podcast, sponsored by ADG Barbershop at 206 Bay Street, Staten Island, New York. Today's my first guest is the legendary GOAT. She don't like this, but a lot of people talk about legends and GOAT status, and sometimes it's not warranted. This first guest that I have, she's very warranted, and her name is Dot Guerrero. What's up, Coach Dot?
What's up, Brett? How are you?
Ain't nothing. I appreciate you taking the time out your day to come in to chit chat with Coach Red.
Thank you
So
for
I
having
just-
me. I'm honored to be the first one here on your podcast. It's a beautiful thing.
You gotta start with a legend. So why not? Let's start with a legend that very few people may not know about. The young kids may not know about who you are. So I'm gonna list Coach Dot and her family basketball sports resume. Her older sister, Kathy, is that correct?
Kathy.
She got a doctorate PhD. So you young kids, you hear me say books before basketball, and the first thing that comes to mind is that she got her PhD. She attended Curtis High School, 1,000-point scorer. She got a full scholarship to Wagner College. She currently coaches middle school AAU basketball, and she played for the legendary Ed Watkins Rising Stars.
She did.
Then we got Claire. Is Claire the
She's next.
Claire's
Yeah.
next. So you got Claire Guerrero. 18,000 points at Curtis. She also attended Curtis, 18,000 points. Jake's Award winner. Jake's Award is Staten Island's best player.
Right.
Her senior year, this is an unbelievable stat. Her senior year in high school, she averaged 36 points a game. And it was no three-point shot.
And she was taking them. She was shooting threes. They just counted for two.
So if it was three-point shot, she probably could have had 2,500
Forget
points.
it. It was crazy.
She got a full scholarship to St. Francis College. She coached MSIT girls. She currently teaches at PS 30. And she also played for Ed Watkins Rising Stars.
She did. And it was boys basketball.
It was L. Not
It
only
was
did she
shooting as a
have,
boys ball.
not only did she average 36, she played with a men's basketball with no three-point line.
Right.
That is crazy.
Great.
Then we have, let's skip. Then we have Cindy. Cindy attended Curtis High School as well. Y'all love Curtis.
We love Curtis.
Cindy,
We love Curtis.
Cindy also attended Curtis High School, 1,000-point scorer, played for St. Francis, finished up at Keene University.
Yeah.
Cindy also played for Ed Watkins as well.
She did.
You see this, Sean? Like, you play for Ed, you're legendary. So, all right.
Ed was legendary.
Her brother, Ray, he played 3 sports?
Yes, he did.
Basketball, football, and baseball.
Yes.
Now let's go into
He's
Coach
awesome.
Dot. Coach Dot was a 1,000-point scorer at Curtis High School. She attended St. Francis College on a full scholarship. Did you play 1 year with your sister?
No.
Not 1 year?
No, we missed each other.
You missed each other. So Coach Dot got a full scholarship to St. Francis College. She also played for Ed Watkins as well. Coach Dot currently coaches JV boys basketball at McKee High School. This would be
This is my 4th year?
this her 4th year. But before this, she used to coach at Curtis High School.
True.
How many years you was at Curtis High School?
13?
13 years at Curtis High School. Wow. Coach Dot has been in the Board of Ed teaching for 28 years in the Board of Ed. So that's special right there, to be a teacher for 28 years. My friend actually came up to my job because I currently work at McKee too. He was in there for 10 seconds. And he said, I got to get out of here. How do you do it? He was in there 10 seconds.
Listen, it is not for everybody. It is not.
Her nieces, Claire, she scored over 2,000 points at MSIT, and she attended Staten Island Academy.
Yeah. 2 years and 2 years.
2 years and 2 years. So she got, hold on, let me get this correct. She got 1,000 points in 2 years at MSIT. Mm-hmm. Then she left MSIT, went to Staten Island Academy, and scored another 2,000, another 1,000 points.
And Staten Island Academy was winning state championships at that time. Like they were serious.
She attended Hillside College in Michigan. Hillsdale College in Michigan.
Yeah, 2 years and then COVID.
2 years and then COVID.
Yeah, and everybody came home.
COVID was crazy.
Yep.
Mary Lee, Curtis High School. Ed and Curtis got something in common. 1,000-point scorer. 2 years at Chaminade in Hawaii. That's where
Honolulu.
In Honolulu. That's where Kalik Mitchell went.
Yeah.
Dorothy, Curtis High School.
1,000 points.
1,000 points. She currently play at CSI.
Right now. Yep.
I like Dorothy. She was always like.
Dorothy's tough.
Dorothy was tough.
Dorothy
she wasn't.
Tough.
She wasn't soft.
Dorothy's tough.
She has she got 2 nephews that go to McKee High School. Ray, he's a junior that plays basketball, football, and baseball.
True.
And Sonny, who's a senior who plays baseball. I wish he played basketball his senior year. He did play basketball, but I would love for Sonny to play one more year with his brother at high school, because you can't get that back.
He's focused on baseball though, so that he wants to make sure that's that he's kind of like locked into that. So he wants to go play baseball in college, and that's a priority for him. So I get it. You have to make choices, Red. Sometimes it's decisions that people have to make.
That's just Coach Red wishful thinking.
I know, me too.
All right, so I have some questions I have for you, Coach Dot.
Okay.
I'm trying to look at my book, Coach Dot.
No.
Trying to look at my book.
Come on, no.
What it was like growing up playing sports in the Guerrero household as a kid?
You know what? It was fun, but there wasn't like a sense of pressure, because I had 2 older sisters who I looked up to, and I went and I would watch them play. I'd watch their games, and they went to basketball camps, and as soon as I saw them playing, I'm like, I want to do that. So I knew from a very early age that I wanted to do what they were doing. I was playing basketball. I was at a basketball camp at 4 years old at Wagner College basketball camp with Jella Mazzella Mikalauskis at that time. That was like the place to be. Like now, kids get trained, there's one-on-one trainers. When I was growing up, you went to basketball camp. So this camp was where everybody was, and you really learned the fundamentals. And so I saw it growing up. So as soon as I saw it, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. My father, he encouraged it. When he taught us, he was like our first coach, but he wanted to make sure that it was something that we wanted to do. He basically said, because we were girls. He's raising girls. He had his sons too, but for the girls, he said, listen, if you want to do this, I can teach you, but we're going to go hard. Like, it's going to be tough. And he did that, and he instilled like a sense of toughness in us from a young age. And we worked hard, and we would do stuff at home. There were a lot of kids. There were 6 of us growing up. There wasn't a lot of money, but he invested in basketball. He dug out the backyard and had concrete laid down and put a hoop up above the garage, and that's where we played basketball, in the backyard. We went to the parks too and played on our teams, but you
The
wanted
real
to,
battles was in the household.
yeah, because you wanted to work on your game. He's like, all right, I'll make you guys a little court outside, and we played, and you worked on your game. That's what he did.
You also have another brother that just said, I'm not playing no sports.
That's my youngest brother, Albert. Yeah,
Albert, right.
he played a little bit, when he was little, but it really wasn't like for him. He's a beautiful, wonderful person. He also went to Curtis, but just sports was not the route that he went.
Why Curtis at the time?
So my 2 sisters started out at St. Joseph Hill, and they played basketball for the legendary Essie Curatola and John Curatola, who I ended up coaching with for many years, and is close friend of mine, like my family. But they played for the Curatolas at Hill, and it was I think more like the academic part of St. Joseph Hill wasn't for them, and they ended up transferring to Curtis. That was our neighborhood school, so that was the neighborhood public school. So my father said, "All right, you going to Curtis." And my grandfather went to Curtis, and my uncle went to Curtis. So we had
Curtis,
family,
the place to be. I went to Curtis.
right? So we had family went to Curtis, and that was the public school. That was our zone school.
All right. Next question. Who is your favorite basketball player of all time and why?
You mean like professional or just any like? All right, that's easy. It's easy for me. All right, so actually, it's not that easy. So, it's the difference between who I think is the greatest and who is my favorite.
Who's your favorite?
So my personal favorite
favorite.
basketball player of all time is Allen Iverson. 1,000%. So him and I are exactly the same age. You know what I mean? So I grew up knowing that there was this kid the same age as me in Virginia who was the quarterback, playing football, playing basketball, and you knew he was one of the greatest basketball players in high school at that time. So I watched him. He was my same age. Of course, I loved him. He was beautiful. All of that, the hair, the style, everything. So I loved everything about AI. And then his game. He had I followed the whole issue with everything that went on with him and his fight, and then Coach Thompson, and then Georgetown. I followed him through Georgetown. He's my favorite. He's my guy. But for me, it was his toughness. Like, he wasn't, 6'7". He was 6 foot, if that, a fake 6'1", and he's going at everybody, the handle, the shot, and he played so hard.
Every possession.
Every single time he played so hard, and I loved everything about him. And then there was all the other things that surrounded him, which was his style and, what he brought to the game and fashion. And he
changed the game.
It was beautiful to watch, and I loved everything about him. And even to watch him grow as a man and a father and a family figure, and then, having a humble spirit. At first you're not so humble, but then life humbles you, and now he's just a wonderful person. I love everything about AI.
All right, so Coach Dot, favorite player of all time is Allen Iverson. That's actually one of my favorite players of all time. So I'm not mad at that.
Yes.
The next question is, do you feel like high school basketball have changed over the years? If so, what's the good and the bad about it?
Has high school basketball changed? Well, listen, the game changes. it it evolves all the time. I talk with John Curatola, who's a coach, and we talk basketball all the time. You and I, TG, that you, as a coach, as a player, you have to continue to be a student of the game. If you're not a student of the game, if you're not learning, if you're not growing, then you might as well be shooting the underhand from the foul line. So what are we doing? So has the game changed? Absolutely. Some things for the good, some things maybe not. I don't know. There's a lot of, so I would say, where it has evolved is, there's been players who have changed the game. Like everybody knows that Steph Curry has changed the game. That this elite level of shooting has turned it into a game that where it was dominating from the inside in the days of Shaq and the big men and the greatest big men of all time. And it was this like get the ball inside. It was like secondary. The outside game was the
like
secondary.
it used to be
It was
inside,
like
inside, out. Now
Yes,
it's outside
now
in.
it's outside in, exactly. But there was also a little bit more of I felt like there was a continuity to the game, like a flow to the game. It feels like now is a lot more one-on-one, like just clear out, like even in the rules of the game, like you can't play help defense, or you can only guard your man. So that's promoting this just me versus you, me versus you. So to me, what's gotten away from it is a little bit of the team concepts and needing five in unison. There's such a beautiful thing about like those teams that played with a flow and a continuity and a unison, to make this game work. Now it's a little bit more like if you got that guy who could score 40,
Let him just go get 40.
right. So that's the pluses and minuses. But listen, the game in its core doesn't change. You have to be able to work at it. You have to have the skill level. You have to be a good teammate. You have to, all those things, those core values of the game.
It's
to
missing.
Me, no, it's not that it may be missing, but it doesn't change. If it's there, then it will always make a team better if you have those things. Maybe some of it's that it's missing, but I've seen teams today that have been great and have all those things, and athletes that have all those things, and I've seen kids who, that it doesn't. But where does that come from? Why isn't it getting instilled in young people now? I don't know. It is in some of them and maybe not in others. You might have more answers to that than I do, Red.
Yes, I think I think who's coaching the kids, and I tell TG all the time, like
Shout out TG.
I tell TG all the time that when certain kids come to our workouts and they do something, and I get on them about it, they're looking at me puzzled. Like, what are you talking about? They don't have to say it. Just by them looking and like this is like, what are you talking about? But if you know me, it's more like give you your baby wipes that first time. So then you repeat the same bad habit in practice, and then I tell you again, Zaza, get back on defense. What are you doing? It's like, oh, Coach Red yelled at me. It's not that Coach Red. Zaza, shout out to my boy Zaza. He's my boy too. I just used his name But I'm yelling at you because you're doing something wrong, but it's not personal. So when you correcting a kid doing something mistake on the court, it's like, what? Nobody never told me that. So it's like, who's coaching me? That's my take.
I know, and we talk about this all the time, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I am not the same coach that I was at 21 years old, coming fresh out of college, 22, 23. It's different. Even my approach to the game is different because I also want to make sure that there is a level of trust with the athletes and a relationship. So sometimes I feel like I can't get through to a player unless there is some level of a relationship there. So that once I build a foundation of a relationship, then you know that I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to bring the best out of you. And if you can receive that from me, then we're gonna be all right. But not everybody can
and that's
receive correction and direction. Not everybody can do it.
but that's the thing right there. The young athletes, they don't receive the message in a positive way. They receive the message as it's a personal attack.
Right.
Like you said though.
You're right.
Learn the game. That's why when Sean asked me, he said, yo, Ray, why don't you do a podcast? I'm like, all right. Then I thought about it, so I'm like, what am I gonna do? I need a guest. I need somebody. And this is no disrespect.
Listen, we do a
to
podcast
nobody.
almost every day at work.
Exactly.
So we're podcasting
at
in the
work.
classrooms every day, recapping after a game, before a game, preseason. What are we doing? So we're basically doing this. This is what we do at work
Right.
sometimes.
All right. Next question. You got six boys, 6 girls. I need you to give me. Just Staten Island. That you've seen play high school basketball. It could be the city. You got to take 6 boys, 6 girls. You got to pick a boys coach and a females coach. Let's start with the women's first. Name me 6 girls.
6
and
girls?
Who would coach that team and why?
So like a team?
Like a team. You got 6 players.
6
and
players?
you got to have 6 players.
Oh man. I'm gonna start with my sister Claire.
Claire.
Take her. I'm taking Claire first. This is a really tough question.
And you coached a lot of greats too. So you got Claire. So you got 5 more.
Ones that I saw or that I coached.
Saw or coached. So you got Claire. 5 more.
I saw Sue Harnett play.
Sue Harnett.
Okay, she ended up playing for Duke.
Sue Harnett. I never heard of her.
Awesome. She'd be the big man.
Sue Harnett.
Yeah.
So
Sue
Claire
Harnett.
would be the guard.
Claire's a guard.
All
Sue
right.
Harnett.
All right. So you got 4 more.
Oh my goodness. I'd have to take Coach Talia Sutton.
From Curtis.
Yes!
Coach Tyler Sutton, who was nice.
She was she is a beautiful person, but she's a great basketball player, and just like probably you're great, like keeps everybody.
Your glue.
Oh man, the glue. She'll just take
and
everybody and
that's
keep them
missing.
together in a positive way. But I always think about her. She knew how to speak to her team to get the best out of them. That's how I knew she was going to be a great coach, is because she knows how to give direction and still get the best out of you. She's awesome.
Shout out to Tyler
Talia.
Sutton, Curtis High School coach. Curtis High School legend as well.
So when I
3
played,
more.
3 more. I played against some really good basketball players when I was playing. So I'm going to take Tara Walsh from St. Joseph Hill.
Tara Walsh.
Oh my gosh, she was awesome. She was like a 4, like a small forward, but
Was she at-
unstoppable? Coach John Curatola coached her at St. Joseph Hill, and Mr. Curatola, awesome. So that's 4.
Yes.
Oh,
so you
I
got
need a
2
point
more.
guard.
Need a point guard.
You know who I'm taking? At the point, Zetta Martin.
Zetta Martin.
Let's go.
Shout out to Zetta Martin.
So I got
Timeville High School.
I got Zetta at the 1, Claire at the 2, Tal at the 3, Tara Walsh at the 4, Sue Hartnett at the 5, and I need a sub.
1 more.
That team is great. Oh my goodness. 1 more. Who could shoot? Need somebody to come in and maybe another big girl.
It could be anybody you played against that you saw. Anyone.
What is the name? There was Curtis alum, Geraldine Santulius. played for Curtis. She was like a 4, and she ended up playing for Seton Hall. Probably one of the greatest basketball players to come out of Staten Island too. Geraldine.
Who would coach and why?
Who would coach that team? Does it have to be a Staten Island coach?
I don't care. Whoever you would want to coach. It don't got to be a
Really?
Staten Island coach.
So I'm gonna let my favorite coach, who coached me of all time, coach this team. You ready for who this is? This is the New York City legendary coach. This is Coach John Lasasso. So Lasasso coached at John Jay High School and took those teams to finals. And he coached some of the greatest basketball players, Pietra, Gay, like these go. But he was my coach for the Empire State games and like summer coach. He was
Awesome.
He was awesome. And then we'd have to have, he's the X's and O's, but then there's Ed Watkins, Coach Ed Watkins helping him out. So he would be my assistant. So, because Ed was the greatest motivator and the workouts and the practice ethics just. So I have Lasasso and Ed Watkins coaching that team. Woo!
Boys. Let's go to the boys.
Man. That's hard, but because I don't, this is my favorite Staten Island basketball player of all time, is my number one. Sandy Brock.
Sandy Brock.
So I got to see Sandy Brock play in high school. He was younger than me. So when I was a senior, he was a sophomore, but then you just got to watch the whole way. It was just the most beautiful basketball player I've seen in a long time, ever.
To date.
To date, he's my favorite. My favorite Staten Island basketball player to date. It was a beautiful game. It was exciting, and he was just so fun to watch. He did everything. He played defense. He was just coming through the lane, dunking on people, and it was smooth, and he could shoot, and he had such a beautiful spirit that it just drew everybody in. You just had to watch him play.
Sort of like you had to be there.
Yes.
All right, 5 more.
Yeah, boys basketball players. Jeez, I don't even know.
We naming no turkey burgers.
I don't even know them like that, Red.
That's what. Interesting.
Boys.
That don't think y'all had Gabe. That's basically so. Listen,
Dwayne Singletary.
Dwayne Singleton. Listen, the list could stop at Sandy if you wanted to.
I would like it to stop there because he's just my.
So
favorite.
nobody else is worthy. It's Sandy Brock, and that's it. She don't want none of you.
No,
turkey
I got
burgers.
one. I got one.
Who?
Andrew Wisniewski.
Wiz. Okay.
He's at the one. He's the point
He's
guard.
at the one.
That's
Andrew
a beautiful
Wisniewski.
basketball player. It's just a super high IQ basketball player. St. Peter's professional.
Yes.
Came out and overseas and played everywhere.
He's actually,
and he's still
he's coaching his sons.
Sharing the game.
Yes.
He's at Manhattan College.
Manhattan College.
Now.
You got our former player, Messiah Gilliard.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So shout out to Wiz.
Yes.
St. Peter's
Love
legend.
Wiz.
Centenary.
Yeah.
Was it Centenary College he went to, I believe?
And then played
overseas for like 10 plus years. Now he's at Wagner College.
Coaching at Zavarian.
Coaching at Zavarian.
And
now he's at Wagner College.
No, Manhattan College.
Manhattan College, excuse me.
Yeah.
So
Wiz.
shout out to Wiz.
Shout out to Wiz.
4 more, Coach Dot.
Yeah, Curtis. I don't even know, Red. It's a bad question for me.
That's a great question.
No.
I feel like it. Oh, you had to go to the games.
I did go to the games. Little St. Peter's games,
Curtis game. Let me help you out. You had Timmy Holland. You had
Timmy. I love Timmy. I love Timmy Highland. I have to put Timmy on there. You're right. Nobody could shoot like Timmy.
I say this.
Nobody.
I say this all the time.
He was. Oh, and then the other kid from Moore.
We're gonna get there.
No, but
We're gonna get there.
Timmy was pulling from 8 feet behind the 3-point line before anybody was. He was just stepping over half court at Curtis and pulling. Timmy was probably the best shooter I ever saw. No, it's this kid from Farrell. I can't think of his name.
Kyle McElroy?
Well, Kyle, yes, Kyle McElroy, yeah, but no, before him.
I always say this about
Can't think of
Timmy,
his name
and
right
it's,
now.
and it's no disrespect to anyone. We had great basketball players out here, but for
Kenny White. That's who it
Kenny
was.
White.
Kenny White.
Kenny White.
Kenny White.
So your list is
Kenny White.
Is Sandy,
Yes. I don't have
Andrew
a big,
Wisniewski,
yes.
Kenny White,
Yeah.
Timmy Highland,
Yeah. Dwayne Singleton.
Dwayne Singleton, and one more.
And Kyle McElroy. Did I say him?
And Kyle McElroy.
Fine. Kyle McElroy.
Sandy Brock.
Don't have a big man.
You got Sandy Brock, John
all right, we'll just
Singleton,
run.
Sandy Brock, John Singleton, Andrew Wisniewski, Timmy Highland, Kyle McElroy,
Yeah.
and who's the other one?
Kenny White.
Kenny White
Kenny White.
from Farrell.
Was
Didn't he score like 75?
He was awesome. Yes.
Wow.
He was awesome.
Wow. I always say that, like, no disrespect to anybody, Timmy Highland
Timmy.
was
So great.
the best basketball player that I ever seen
He was so great.
to date.
He was so great.
And there's no disrespects to no one, because we have some great basketball players out here. There's no disrespect to none of them. Like, all y'all are great in y'all way. Like the LBs, the Dorks Harris, the Malik Martin, the Khalid Mitchells, the Stan Boldens, the Bats at New York. So there's no disrespect. I just
Of course
thought
not.
a young kid just saying the Hassan Wilkinsons, the Solo Perrys, Steve Perry.
Of course.
So it's no
I
disrespect.
saw them
but
all.
Timmy was just. The next question. What did and what do Ed Watkins meant to you?
So Ed changed. So my sister Kathy played for him, my sister Claire, but he changed the way like you would think about basketball and the way that you would approach the game and the level at which you believed that he made you believe that you could play at. Because if you were willing to endure what he was teaching and pushing you to do, your game could go to a whole nother level mentally and physically. And that's what he did. He and we talk about this all the time, that Ed didn't just push you on the floor, working out. We were at Cromwell, like Cromwell, the well, when, we were just in there working out for hours. But then he would sit you down and talk to you. And there was a whole other mental part of the game and a mental toughness that if you couldn't handle that, then he would just invite you to leave. But if you knew.
But wait,
There's the door. Or you just knew,
this was not for me. I can't take him.
or people just didn't come back. That's it. If you bought in to what Ed was teaching, which was just this high level just work where you were just hurting, but you knew if you could do it, you knew that you were able to accomplish something. So you wanted to come back. And if you couldn't handle it, you just didn't come back. And he was like, oh, well, if you were there, he was willing to teach and coach you. And when you got through an Ed workout or through an Ed season or went to his tournaments in other boroughs and he took us around and you were able to, you felt like if I could play against them, I'm going to be fine out here in Staten Island. If I can go to Harlem, we played in the Gauchos gym at Millbank in Brooklyn. We were I was playing against the best girls in the city at that time. I mean, it's the gauchos. Like, what are we doing? I'm like, if I'm holding my own in these other boroughs, then when I go to Staten Island, I will handle my business. And that's how I felt. So it just created a level of confidence in your game that you weren't getting anywhere else if you just stayed in your little Staten Island bubble. And Ed took us out. Ed took us out of the bubble.
Ed
In
is
in the in the 90s when you were getting beat up out there and you could safely stay on Staten Island and be fine. But then you weren't prepared. You might not be prepared when you left. If you
right.
wanted to go play at the next level, listen, I was prepared for college Division 1 workouts because I worked out with Ed. Like I knew that. And that's hard. It's hard to be prepared. I'm not saying I knew it, but I was able to hold my own physically because had been working out with Ed since I was 13 years old.
Wow.
So he prepared me for the next level of basketball, where I know I couldn't have prepared myself for that.
All right. That's deep. Shout out to Ed Watkins. Rest in
Definitely.
peace, Ed.
Definitely.
Love and you know how I feel about Ed. Like I found myself just talking and just or going through certain situations in life and like, what would Ed say? What would Ed do? How would Ed react? But one thing I loved about Ed, he did not care about nobody's opinion. Your opinion did not matter to him.
No.
He didn't care.
No.
And he would let it be known, your opinion, get out of here with it.
Yep. That's it.
Now this part of the show is called Coach Red, Who Cares? That's the name of it. Coach Red, Who Cares? I just thought about it. So I'm gonna ask you 5 questions.
Okay.
And the first thing that come to mind when I tell you these 5 questions.
Okay.
Sandy Brock.
Go.
Go. Kevin Garnett.
Tough. Am I giving like one word answers?
One word. Tough.
Tough.
Tough. Coach John Curtola.
Basketball mastermind.
Sean White.
Community.
The last question. Family.
Can be anybody. Family's not just, my family. It's just family. I have a lot of different families, Red. A lot of different people that I consider to be family. The most important family that I belong to is the family of God, right? So I have many different families. I have church families. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't, all these things are nice, Red, and I'm grateful for all of these, these accolades and all these things, but that is not what makes me do what I do. I do this because I believe that God has put me in a position to teach and to coach and to have an impact on whoever's life he puts in front of me. And that is what I'm doing here on earth. I coach for the kingdom. I coach for the kingdom of God. And that's truly why I live my life and who I live my life for. And you know how I feel about that. And you know that I just, I'm grateful every day that God has put me in a position. And I will do whatever assignment he is asking me to do with whoever he puts in front of me. So that's family of God.
I forgot this question, but I have to ask you this. it was brought to my knowledge today that at St. Francis when you played, you got Queen of Brooklyn. Could you elaborate on that, being Queen of Brooklyn, being from Staten Island, for the people who might not know? Because I did my homework, what Queen of Brooklyn is.
Oh, it's so funny. So every year, because it was downtown Brooklyn, St. Francis and LIU had this game where it was the Battle of Brooklyn. So I guess maybe it was my senior year. So the Battle of Brooklyn is I got the MVP of that.
Do you remember your stats for that game or no?
I might have had like 20. Listen, I wasn't in college. I wasn't like a super duper scorer. You know, I like to believe that I did a lot. Like I did a little bit of everything. Like defense is so important to me. I love defense. I love playing defense. I always took it as a challenge to like be able to lock down another team's best player. So that was like if I could listen. What is it if I score 20 but the girl I'm guarding scores 25?
Right.
So basically I had
Nothing.
negative five for the day. So I took it if I had 20 and I'm locking somebody up, and I cared more about defense. I love passing. So passing is really my favorite part of the game. So I love to pass.
The bounce pass. That's why you always say the
love
bounce pass.
But I played with, high school legend Christine Taps. She was my big girl. So her and I learned, that's one of my best friends in the world. But we played together and I could feed her in the post all day. I was getting assists just off of her. Shout out Taps.
Shout out to Taps. Which school she went to?
St. Francis.
St. Francis. She went to Notre Dame High School.
Oh, I
right.
forgot all those Notre Dame teams. My bad.
See? That's why that was a good question.
The girls. I know. The Notre Dame girls are going to be mad that I went to Hill, but I still love the Hill girls. They were all great.
Well, this is Coach Red. First episode, Bigger Than Basketball, sponsored by ADG, Sean White. Make sure you come down here. Get a little shape up, 206 Bay Street, braided by law. We got Paris. We got the chess going on in here. A lot of different conversations going on. Coach Dot, it was a pleasure. I want to thank you for taking the time out your busy day and sit down and chop it up with Coach Red.
You're welcome, Red. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.